Hello, Jason Ward from 247tech.com again here. We're going to go over a little bit more detail in what shortcuts are. The previous video that we did under the newbie podcast installations had briefly touched on shortcuts, so I'm just going to give you a little bit more information. Um, your desktop here will have your icons and shortcuts. These shortcuts are basically identical that if you went down here to your Vista Windows icon where the orb is and click it, you'll get these options. That was left click, by the way. You can go to all programs and you'll see a list. This whole list is technically shortcuts. So if I was, for instance, using Firefox and I had a shortcut on my desktop, there's technically no reason except for that I use it all the time, let's say, for this shortcut to be here. Once you start filling this up, it's going to use up your system resources and start being a mess. So I really like people to get into the habit of just going to all programs. In this case, we're going to Mozilla Firefox and clicking the icon. Well, this one's for safe mode because I pulled it out, but that is technically a shortcut. Where the program actually resides is like in a filing cabinet system. If I was to walk into the room of my computer and I had a filing cabinet here set up as file cabinet C, your hard drive, and I click it, I'll have folders in that filing cabinet. See, it's what we call a directory structure in what they call a tree form. It's going in and it's going from my computer into C drive into one of these folders. If for instance I wanted to see my Mozilla Firefox, I could go into program files. Let's see, this is 64-bit, so we'll go x86, but we go into program files. We'd go down here to the company that actually makes Firefox, Mozilla, and then here's the application right here. So that's technically where it's at. Windows has tried to make it easy for you by creating shortcuts in your programs files right here so that you get there quicker. So these are shortcuts. These aren't the actual applications technically. So there's really no reason to have one here unless you use it all the time. And what that does is it points straight to here. One way to check is to right click and hit properties, and under the information it'll tell you the target of that application is in. If you look here, it'll match up. C drive, program files, Mozilla Firefox, Firefox.exe, and there is Firefox. .exe means executable. It means it's an application. It's something that runs. So if you have a shortcut on your desktop, you're not sure where it goes, you can right click it for your options and go to properties, and it'll bring up its property tabs, and you can find out where it's located, what it is, and so on. It makes it a little bit easier to understand shortcuts. In reverse, let's say I didn't have this shortcut. Let me delete it real quick here. If I didn't have this shortcut, I know that I can run into my C drive, program files, Mozilla Firefox. Here's the application. I can technically right click this, and there should be an option that says send to desktop to create shortcut. There you go. And there's my shortcut. So I don't have to dig deep into these folders and files to finally get to where I need to be. I can find it one time if I don't already have the shortcut, right click it and send it to the desktop, and then you have a shortcut for it if you like. So that's the basics, a little bit more on shortcuts than what we had previously, and maybe make it a little bit easier to understand, and then you can utilize your shortcuts for what you need. Thanks, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.